Good to have you join us on Health Matters on Channels Television. I am Yomi Otaibi. Occasional anxiety is an expected part of life. Indeed, everyone feels anxious every now and then over different issues of life, and this is a normal emotion. But when an individual experiences more than a temporary worry or fear, or the individual's anxious moments do not go away or get worse, then it's time to seek medical attention. And that's why we have in the studio today a consultant psychiatrist and lecturer at the Department of Psychiatry, University of Lagos, Dr. Peter Nube, who is going to be telling us, how we need to prevent and control anxiety disorder. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Yomi.
Thank you. So, we all get worried, When does it become worrisome?
Well, just as the intro, I will give practical example. You told me some time ago that I will be coming here. And just imagine if I'm relating to you that immediately you told me I couldn't sleep. I began to think of how I was going to get here. What if on the day I was to come here, my car breaks down? What if something bad happens to my clothes? What if there's no light to iron?
Just because
you told me.
I invited you
and
here.
Then I've not been able to sleep since then.
Wow.
That is no longer a normal worry. It has now become intense, it has become excessive, and it has become persistent over that period of time. So when worries become intense, that is, the degree is now more than what is expected. Because it's normal to get worried one time or the other, or one way or the other. But when it becomes intense, or when it becomes very excessive, or when it now becomes persistent, so it's not just for a day or two, but it now goes for a long time, then you say there are anxiety disorders.
So that individual is having to deal with anxiety
disorders. And it's not a commonly discussed topic.
Okay.
So I'm happy that we're talking about it.
Okay. So why will an individual, for instance, who, would just get worried over everything every time, or over some things every time?
Well, the truth is this. Why will an individual have malaria? Why will an individual have hypertension, arthritis, diabetes, and co? It is a medical condition. Anxiety disorders are groups of medical conditions. Only that this time around is arising from the brain. So when we talk of anxiety disorder, it is not the normal, oh, I feel anxious. So when we're talking about problems with the brain, this time around, it's not depression, it's not addiction, it's not anything, it's not even the psychosis or schizophrenia. The way the symptoms are coming this time around is in that realm of anxiety. So it is not that the individual is willfully doing it. As a matter of fact, it is not anxiety disorders if it's not affecting the day-to-day living conditions, personal care, or becoming bothersome and worrisome to the people around. So I may have anxiety disorders, I don't go to work again, I can't even concentrate, I can't do so many things that I used to do. That has now become morbid. That is, it has caused sickness, and it is no longer the usual one. So at that time, you say there's a mental problem.
So it comes from the brain?
From the brain. It's a mental anomaly.
Okay, so both of us are here now, and you're not having anxiety disorder, and I'm having it. What went, or what isn't well wired in the brain? Is it just about genetics, or is something that we can also acquire in the environment?
Well, thank you very much for the question. The truth is that when you talk about causes or risk factors, or what can conflagrate, what can increase, what can make it become more intense, there are many things. Genetics, that is, I may inherit it.
So
the same way I could inherit hypertension, diabetes, the father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, anyhow, it can be inherited. And if there's a slight precipitant, for example, maybe I witness an accident, or maybe something bad happened to me, that may bring it out. So most of the time, individuals may have it inherent. The individual may have it within them. It may not show. But once they come in contact with any stressful condition, instead of them going to the route of depression or co, they may become overly anxious. And the illness, anxiety disorders will come up. So it's a sickness that can be triggered by a lot of things. Experience, childhood trauma, childhood stress, addiction. Substance abuse can trigger it. Then some medical conditions. For example, Neitol and we did something on post-stroke anxiety. And we discovered that 10% of people that have had stroke before had anxiety disorder. There are also studies by
they're
yes.
just afraid
they
that
just
it could
become
just happen again.
Many things will now be coming up. So some people are having maybe terminal conditions. Oh, HIV, this and that. Some may have lived a reckless life. And the next moment is, okay, pre-employment screening. Go and do your status. And they've done it. The thing is even negative. But they are just, even before the result comes, they worry well. Anxiety disorders may spring forth. Oh, what if it's positive? What if it's this? Sometimes it may even persist to the level of having hypochondriasis or the delusion that the illness is still there.
What is that big word that you just mentioned?
I'm trying not to use big words.
Yes, but you just used it just so
okay, for example, when these anxiety disorders continue over and over and over, even in people that don't have any illness, they begin to believe that, oh, they have the illness. And they begin to do an investigation. I would say hypochondriasis.
Okay, so
they'll be doing a lot of investigations.
Happening, you just feel that that.
Oh, something has happened. Oh, what if the test? I mean, they'll just be thinking of several things, and they believe they have the illness when they don't.
Okay, so one of the signs or symptoms will be worry.
Excessive worry.
And excessive worry.
Yes.
Let's talk about other symptoms and signs.
Well, the way we call it anxiety disorders, meaning that is the umbrella name.
Okay, so there are different types.
There are not different types.
Maybe we should talk about the types
okay,
first. Then we can talk about each type having its own sign.
Fantastic.
So the first one will be?
Okay, this examination now. I feel I've been examined. But that's okay for the pleasure of the viewers, for them to know. And also for those who have the illness this time around, for them to be able to seek help. I'm going to be mentioning different types of anxiety disorders. For example, there's what we call social anxiety disorders. Social anxiety disorders, this time around, they are afraid of going out to functions because they believe that if they talk, they may be scrutinized. If I have social anxiety disorder and I'm here and I think people are watching me, I may feel fidgety. Even when I know what to say, so that is, they don't like social gathering. They prefer to stay indoor, okay?
Or to stay away
or
from
to
people.
Stay away from people. Anything social gathering. Then we have specific phobia. For example, people may have phobia for height, acrophobia. They may have phobia for the claustrophobia. As this place is enclosed now, I'll be shaking. I'll be trembling. I'll be sweating. My heart will be racing, and I'll be hearing the sound we call palpitation. Easy startle reflex. So many things will be happening to me. I'll feel so uneasy. You say, oh, this guy is in an enclosed space. Some may have what we call agoraphobia. That is the fear of going to any place or involving in activities that may cause panic, that may cause embarrassment to them. So if you ask me, oh, let us go out to a particular place, this and that, the next thing I'm saying, oh, won't I feel choked? Hope I'm not even going to, I don't want to mention the name, but for shopping and every other thing, I may feel, what if I collapse? Will there be people to help me? And I may remain indoor.
And that is not just once. It is something that
continually occurs. And then we have panic attack. Oh, this one is so common.
Panic attack is about the commonest.
Yeah, because the next thing is I have asthma. So many people will begin to use inhaler. And that's why there's a relationship between respiratory people, heart people, and mental health people. Because so many people will say, I'm hearing the voice, I'm hearing the sound of my heartbeat. Oh, I feel I'm choking. I can't breathe again. The impending feeling of doom. And they run to either the cardiologist or the respiratologist in charge of the lungs or the heart. I'm trying to break it down. And then they will do all the tests, echo, lung function tests, everything will be normal. Then they will say, this is anxiety in form of a panic attack. And they will send them to us. And by the time we start the treatment, they get well. So there are many people abusing inhalers, abusing so many things, but what they have is panic attack. Panic attack comes like a sudden feeling of morbid feeling of terror of death, as if they're going to die.
Wow.
This thing, let me tell you something. It may appear like Nollywood movie to some people hearing this, but I'm managing 3 as I speak. And it is so serious. Many of them cannot go out. Many can't drive. Many can't do so many things. In fact, some decide to just stay nearby hospital so that any small thing, they run to the hospital. Oh, I feel like, and you see them, they hold their chest, they start breathing.
And as
and
you're
all those
holding your
things.
chest now, the engineer is telling me that he's having some, because you're interfering with
Okay,
the
sorry.
audience.
I want to be as
So,
dramatic as
yes,
possible
yes,
for listeners
I
to...
understand that. So panic attack is about the commonest. And you have said it's like terror for them. Other signs that we could look out for?
Yeah. Most of the time, concentration. Sometimes there's increased sweating. Sometimes they feel numb. Sometimes they feel that they are going to die. Sometimes they feel as if something is choking them. Some begin to hear their heartbeat. And then you see, some even have incontinence, in which they urinate. Some will just, feel as if there's this intense heart-wrenching pain coming from the heart region, and then they hold on to it. The truth is that physically, when you examine, nothing is happening to them to cause such. It is a psychological symptom.
Okay, so now how do we diagnose this? Is this just about the symptoms, or there are other things to do? Just so whoever is having this kind of feeling or having this kind of signs would go for, diagnosis to be sure.
Yeah, you've said it. The truth is that most of the mental health issues, mental illness, it is through the symptoms you will know. That is why we have normal range of behavior. Somebody that is very okay before, used to go to work, does everything normally and everything, all of a sudden begins to experience some of the things I've mentioned now. The person should know that something has changed in my body physiology. The person that is close to such person will know that, oh, this person is not as we used to think before. We are people that are naturally, we call them warriors. But this time around, when it is now intense, you have 12 years old girl. You're already thinking, oh, when she graduates, will she get a job? Will she have good husband? Will she give birth? Which car? Will the car be available for them to transport themselves to the hospital when they want to labor? On a 12-year-old, and she's taking this thing so serious, she can't sleep. By the time they are not sleeping, they are not concentrating. There's performance anxiety. People they are not working very well in their place. So then you know that something is wrong. Otherwise, when you do an performance evaluation, they score 0, absenteeism from work or school, inability to concentrate, they fail exams, they do so much. So you begin to see downward spiral in their socio-occupational activities and sometimes personal care, because the worries become so much that they don't have time for themselves. You say, you're looking so haggard. What's the problem? Well, that's not even the one doing me now. That's usually the statement. I have other issues. Okay, what are these issues? When they mention the thing, you now worry, is this why this person is this way? So symptoms-wise, you'll be able to discover.
You'll be able to discover from the symptoms. Okay, we'll take a very quick break, and when Health Matters returns, we'll be talking about how to prevent and manage anxiety disorders. And of course, it will be time for you to join us in this discussion. So stay with us. It's Health Matters on Channels Television, and we're looking into how to prevent and control anxiety disorders. You can join us in this discussion by calling 0805 468 3514, which is showing on your screen, and you can also send your message to CTV_Yomi. That's on Twitter. Doctor, prevention in cases where we can, because I don't know if you have, some issues that is genetic, you may not be able to prevent that. But, some life events that happen can also impact, as you have said. Yeah. Is there a way we can prevent? And more importantly, how do we manage?
So let's talk about prevention. You said it. Sometimes these things may be genetic, that is inherited. But you can still prevent it from coming up. I may have anxiety disorder until I die. at the age of 150, I may never exhibit it. Why? I may have learned certain coping strategies that will not precipitate that which has been inherent to come out. So prevention is still, even those that are predisposed to having it. Apart from that, I always tell people, cut your clothes according to your clothes, not according to your size. So if you have 2 years and it is just knickerbocker, don't say you want to get trousers out of it.
Okay.
Now, schools... Okay,
before you continue, Bayo is on the line from Abuja. Hello, Bayo.
Good evening, doctor. Good afternoon, doctor.
Okay, the doctor is here.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, doctor.
Yeah, good afternoon, please.
Yes, good afternoon.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, please. Now that there was a time I had attack from armed robbers. Some of them attacked me for complete 3 weeks. I couldn't sleep as if they were with me. And this really affected me seriously. But up till now, if I sleep at night, I still remember that particular incident. Please, how can I get out for that? Please.
Thank you, Bayo, for calling.
Yeah, he mentioned something which I left out, and that is post-traumatic stress disorder. We usually mention it when we talk about anxiety disorders too. And it's also highly prevalent. That is so much around us. We have it around. And for example of what he said, you know, I mentioned being faced with terror, being faced with a very traumatic event. And I can understand what he's trying to, what he's going through. So what he's having is possibly post-traumatic. He's supposed to go for help. When he gets help, you know, he will be able to relieve some of these things. And then if he's angry, if he's anxious, all those things will be alleviated. Sometimes you may have to give medication and all those things will be okay. But it is quite possible that may be suffering from. And it happens to those who witness any bad event or just relating the bad event to someone, or the person himself or herself is the one for the subject.
Okay.
So I would just encourage that the
so
person
he should see a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
Usually, if it is very...
Or you should see his general practitioner first?
Yeah, you see your general practitioner who will likely refer you to the doctor. Okay. I tell you, I say, people refer to doctors. Then the doctors, for example, if he comes to me now as a psychiatrist, if I look at it, there is something that will involve behavioral change. I'm not just going to see with him. I will send him to the clinical psychologist.
Okay, let's be joined by Alex. Hello, Alex.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon, Alex.
I picked the point from one thing that you said. I'm a victim of what I just had you explain. I've been working in a place whereby the fear of losing my job and the stress associated with that job. All those while I've been working there, I've been battling with respiratory disease. Let me put it that way. I always sleep with Pranon, inhalers, but since I left that job for more than 2 months now, I've not had any cause to use any of all those things. I've now started thinking based on what you said, that either maybe as a result of stress disorder, I started manifesting those things, and I was thinking maybe I have it as a disease, not knowing that it's just as a result of all those stress-induced ailments. I don't know what next to do about that. Let's observe myself. At the point is that I didn't go for echo scan and everything revealed that there is nothing wrong with me. I'm still having the skin here that I won't have a look at it. So what is the problem? Some people there is a hereditary problem. They'll be asking me, do anybody have any asthmatic condition in your family? I don't have any trace of any one of them.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And Alex is just a typical example of what the pains that people with anxiety disorders, they go through. You know, if they don't go to the right quarter, they will do all sorts of tests. At the end of the day, they will spend a lot of money, they will use facilities, and they will just keep rotating around. Meanwhile, all they need is either medications or therapy.
And they should say...
they should say care. For example, what he did now, he changed the job, and everything was okay. Sometimes it's just a change of something without even medication.
A change of environment. So you were talking about prevention.
Yeah, prevention. I said people should cut their clothes according to their clothes. So now, for example, school session is resumed. I mean, it's coming up. And people will now begin to take their children to schools they know they cannot afford. People will be buying cars. they can't afford to fuel or maintain. People will say before December, I must build a duplex. What is this month we are in now? August. You have not even laid foundation. But you say before December, how God will do it, you don't want to know. All these things, by the time it's now November, what will happen? Anxiety disorder will set.
Okay, so
set
Ugo,
specific and realistic goals.
Realistic targets. Yeah, Ugo is calling from Abuja. Ugo.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to listen to the conversation going on there. I would say that I was like a victim of what the doctor has been describing in the past. When I was doing my undergraduate years, there was this fear, whether I will be able to graduate, whether I will be able to get admission, whether I get admission, whether I will be able to graduate. Even when you get married, will you be able to have children? Will you be able to conceive? Those kind of. So what helped me was that I was using a book called Every Day with Jesus. So the Every Day with Jesus was popular. And there was this topic, say, life's troublesome emotions. It had to do with fear, anxiety, loneliness, and so on. I realized that most of the things I was afraid of, that was what was said in the future, that most of the things we fear in life do not happen. Most of the things we fear do not happen.
Thank you, Ugo, for sharing your experience with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you said it's fleeting worries. That is, worries that are not realistic.
Okay, so it is not like all of those things you shouldn't think about them.
Yeah,
because
we get worried from time to time, but
when
that becomes...
Okay, so in terms of the management, you have said that some people, because they don't really know what is going on, they keep going round and round in circles. What should anyone who is having this kind of signs or symptoms do?
We've said it here over and over that the term psychiatrist does not mean you are having psychiatric condition does not mean you're on the street.
Or having to go and see a psychiatrist
does not mean you are mad. So we have established it clearly that psychiatrist or having psychiatric condition is just normal day-to-day illness that we have. So if you have anxiety disorder, the first person you see is a doctor who is a psychiatrist. If you have your GP will refer you. But most often, if they don't discover what's happening, they may be treating the symptoms. But those who are smart may send it to the psychiatrist. If the psychiatrist now see that, oh, this thing is very intense, they will be doing psychotherapy along with the clinical psychologist, and they will be giving medication.
Okay,
but if it's mind,
before you conclude on that, Andrew is going to join us from Abuja. I think the Abuja viewers are very, very active today. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Please quickly go ahead with your question or comment.
Okay, my question is, I've always had this social anxiety. Kind of, the problem is, anytime I find myself in a social situation, let's say going for meetings, even sometimes walking in public can be a problem. So I know it's irrational, but I've always had that problem. And most times it comes across as though it's just a kind of shyness. So I want to find out what is the difference between shyness and maybe having this social anxiety, and how do you deal with it?
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, for example now, I'm a shy person, but I'm here. I know Yomi will not believe. I'm a shy person, but I'm still here, and somehow I've been able to overcome my shyness, and now I'm talking to almost the whole world. But we're talking about social anxiety disorder, that it will be so evident if I have to be here. But if I have opportunity of avoiding it, I would have avoided it. So social anxiety disorder is quite intense. As I said, we must not forget that, one, it is intense, it is excessive, it is persistent, and it's affecting day-to-day activities. So if you are the boss and you need to speak to your board members, at the end of the day, you know you have to do it. But when you cannot not do it, to the extent that even if you are forced to be there, you feel as if you want to collapse, that is social anxiety disorder.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for coming on today on Health Matters. I'm sure the conversation will continue on Twitter at CTV_YomiO. And Doctor, you want to give out your Twitter handle?
Yes, at Dr. P. That is DrPO then EEE.
So you can ask the doctor more and more questions. Thank you so much. Consultant psychiatrist and lecturer at the Department of Psychiatry, University of Lagos, Dr. Peter Nubi. Thank you for joining us. And that's it on Health Matters for today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Yomi Otaigbe.